There we go.
It is. We're progressing.
Yep. So welcome to the Rotary Club of Sebastopol Sunrise on July the 21st. In case you're wondering, we're working on building community. And come on now. There we go. Our greeter, Michael Cook. Thank you very much. I think you covered just about everybody. Nice job. Thank you.
Puppy too. Look at
Aw.
that.
Oh yeah, you forgot the puppy.
I didn't greet the dog. Oh man.
Hey, getting bigger or getting closer.
He's getting bigger. He's like 30 pounds already.
Serious. Going to be walking you soon. Diana Curtis, please
Yeah.
lead us in the pledge.
Okay,
told
face
you.
the flag. I pledge allegiance
allegiance
to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, with liberty and justice for all.
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Lori Darling. what lots do you
Okay,
have?
I have a wonderful one. This is a Chinese proverb, and it says, if you want happiness for an hour, take a nap. If you want happiness for a day, go fishing. If you want happiness for a year, inherit a fortune. If you want happiness for a lifetime, help somebody.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
I took my grandsons fishing Tuesday and I would have to disagree. I'm sorry. Tangled lines, I'm bored. But I appreciate the sentiment.
Well, seem to have messed my screen up again. Don't know how I did it this time.
Where's Ken Brandt?
Yeah.
Are we still doing the lottery tickets?
We don't have lottery tickets.
We're not doing that anymore. Okay.
Nah, that was fun for a while. It was. I mean, if somebody's excited about it, go for it. But I'm not excited about it. You know what? I can't get this screen to advance.
Trying to tell you something.
Well, I wonder if it's your mess up meeting.
Every meeting's
We
my
gotta
mess up meeting.
Change that.
The first of many.
Yeah,
Well, the next thing is Joe, so bring him up.
yeah, it
Here
is.
I am.
Joe, please lead us in a song.
Well, with a little introduction, you know, Bruce is in the room and he's an avid Dodger fan, and a lot of other people, including Terry and Marty, are avid Giant fans. And it looks like there's one game each with a pretty exciting ending last night going in Bruce's direction. All that
Not
said,
exciting to me at all. But
Don't forget about Nick.
oh, don't forget about Nick. That's right. But he's on the East Coast. Nick, are you rooting for the Yankees while they're back there?
I have to put up with my daughter who roots for the Yankees.
Oh, good. You know, I knew I'd like her. Judge of good character. All right. All that said, take me out to the ball game. Ready? Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd.
Buy
me some
peanuts
and cracker jack. I don't care if I ever get come back. Root for the whole team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes you're out at the old ball game.
Thank you. That was just like usual. Okay, get rid of that. Finally, visitors and guests, and we do have some. Kathy Smith, would you introduce yourself again?
Sure. I'm Kathy Smith. I'm the president of the Russian River Rotary, and I'm visiting your club. this morning.
Russian River Rotary, and she is.
Thank you very much. Glad to see you. And for the greatest distance, but a member, Chris Brocate. Can we spotlight Chris?
Cheers, everyone.
There you are.
Yes.
Yep, glad to see you. Yeah, Chris is getting settled in and working on his yard.
What time is it over there, Chris?
2 hours faster, so it's 9:30.
There you go.
See, you've been doing lots of beach cleanup.
Already jumping in, yeah, can't help myself, and it's feels good to do it.
You get pretty good Wi-Fi service?
Yeah, no, that's really that's what I have at my house. So I'm at my house right now, so I'm real happy with it. You guys, it's like instant. There's no delay as far as I can see.
Cool. Nice. And do we
Yeah.
have any other visitors or guests?
Well, we have Bruce and Helene.
We certainly do. Hello, Bruce
Hey,
and
guys.
Elaine. Welcome. And moving forward, it is time to mute all. Michael, if you can help with that. And I'll try to unmute myself at the same time.
Alrighty.
There we go. We all know about that. I'm not going to stop and read that slide. We got stuff to cover today. Number one, announcement of the moment. In-person meetings were approved by the board at our last meeting. And so the 28th, this coming Wednesday, you've got the option of coming down to the Masons Hall. It's going to be opened up. There will be sparkling wine, a chance to break bread together, a Zoom option as best we can. We're not quite there yet. Might be streaming. We're going to do whatever we can to make it tenable, but the audio may be a little bit odd for folks in the audience. And of course, the audio will be odd for us in present too. So come early if you want to help us set up, because we don't actually have that organized. We just approved it. And the breakfast is made by champions here. Michael McLaughlin, anything to say about that?
Yeah, it's just going to be a simple breakfast, kind of a lox and bagels and fruits and rolls and things like that. We're interviewing caterers, and as soon as we have a caterer lined up, we'll be back into our full breakfast.
Hooray. How about that, folks? Let's give a cheer.
Hooray.
3, 2, 1. Yay!
Yay!
And away we go. So stick around. Richard Hertz is going to be online. Kathy, he is in the house, right? He didn't go take a walk. He's our Ask Me Anything presenter, especially about political things, and he is backed by popular demand. Our leadership volunteers, these are the people to thank for all of the good things that happen for us. And of course, if you don't like something, don't call any of these guys, they're not interested. Recognition and gratitude. Going to try it a little bit differently this time, rather than shaking you down as your slide comes up. Going to wait for the end, and that will be your chance to chime in and say, I want to give to the Rotary Foundation. I wish to give something to the Club Foundation, or I'm going to do some act of kindness for somebody. You don't even have to tell us what it is. So we'll just move forward through these slides because we got a lot of people to cover. Birthdays. Yesterday was Bill Sauber Day. Hooray! Man, you look dressed to roll. And you know what? I did something very humbling to celebrate your birthday, which was go back and look at the last meeting and say, what the hell did I say I was going to do? And I saw that I had to make fairly substantial contributions to the Rotary Foundation and also to the Club Foundation. They're in the mail. Good going, Bill. And hope you had a great birthday.
I had a great birthday.
Lovely. Joe Gazowitz, your first birthday in retirement. What's that?
That's
like?
true. I'll let you know next Tuesday.
Yeah.
But leading up to it, it's doing okay. I don't know what I do here during retirement, but I know it takes all day.
Hunt gophers. And Zeke Britton. Zeke Britton has a birthday coming up on July the 26th.
That's right. I was thinking of taking her out for pizza.
That's a good idea. Hey, and I know what she really wants. She wants all of us to join you and you treat. That's a fabulous idea. Thank you, Zeke. Thank you, Wayne.
There you go.
And we've got a Rotary anniversary here. Michael Fells. This is 10/23.
10/23 on the 27th. Wow.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Well,
10/23.
10 years with our club.
Oh, I see.
23 years in Rotary, according to the.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's right. I think it is about 23 years, 10 with our wonderful club and 13 with the Rotary Club of East Los Angeles.
I know that you have, okay, so that was it. East Los Angeles, the whole time with East Los Angeles?
Right, right. I'm not a club jumper, just two, just two clubs.
Well, we've got a lot to be grateful for that you are a part of our club. I'm so glad that you didn't join the Moose Club.
Well, you know, it was a hard choice, but I settled on Rotary. Yeah, thank you. It's been a great 10 years, and I'm always grateful to our membership for all the support I've had and my family's had, and yeah, it's a great group of people, and I'm very, very happy that I'm able to continue with it.
Lovely. And we've got some anniversaries. Al, are you online?
Yeah, I'm right here.
There you are.
Yeah, right next to you. Yeah, this Saturday is our 39th, and we're going to be going out with two other couples that we meet with annually, and it'll be a good time.
Fabulous. Congratulations. You're off to a good start.
Congratulations, Al.
Yeah. And looks like Rod and Mary got married the very next day.
Yeah. Plus 12 years. So this is number 5-1. And well, we're having several celebrations because we didn't last year on the 5-0. So tomorrow we're going down to the city for the night and have dinner at Tadish Grill.
Great restaurant.
Which has been there almost as long as we have. So
Yeah.
Plus 100 years. So that'll be it right now. Yeah.
Sounds good to me. Well,
yep.
Congratulations.
We'll take the ferry from Vallejo because you can leave your car overnight there. You can't at Larkspur.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, hopefully the wheels are still on it when you come back.
Yeah.
And we've got a sad moment, unfortunately. Darlene's stepmom passed away recently, and our hearts go out to you, Darlene. This is momentous in your life, no doubt. And I just hope that the memories are good and there and solid, and that she'll always be a part of your life.
Yeah, definitely. It's a tough one.
Yeah. Whoops, hold on. I'm skipping slides again. And there's one, I skipped it then. All right, this time we're gonna get it. Last time I went right by this slide, didn't even know it, must not have been looking. My computer's a tricky one. Michael keeps telling me to get rid of my Mac and get a
real computer, that's right.
That's what he says. Bruce and Helene, after many years of hard work, Tim, who's center in the back, retired.
He did.
30 years worth.
He has decided he's going to do a Rip Van Winkle and sleep for 40 years, and then he's going to wake up and decide what he's going to do with the rest of his life.
Fabulous.
That's an option. So he just took he took the check by selling the business and took it home and stuck it under his pillow, huh?
We're very proud of him because he's always given back to the community, and so he's done very well.
Yeah. Is he going to stay down here, or is he moving someplace?
He'll be here for a while. He didn't sell the business, he just closed it.
Got it.
It was time.
Now, there we go. Dan Needham.
I'm here.
Tell us what happened.
Okay, so we had our first, or that was the second youth family village, Peacetown Family Village at the Barlow that's happening every Wednesday night this summer. And the Rotary Club of Sebastopol Sunrise signed up to have an information table. You can see some of us there on the right-hand picture. We got some people to volunteer for our events and some of the other service club events that will be coming up this next year. So we had sign-up sheets and chatted with a bunch of people and did a little bit of building community that way. And we also had a family-friendly activity that you can see kids doing on the left that my sister, Jennifer, and my niece, Sariana, you see them there, and some other volunteers helping kids do books that they were using stamps on, as well as drawing pictures of how they would like to help in the community or think the community should be shared. So a successful event. We met a lot of fun people and had a good time ourselves.
Thank you for doing that. I thought you all did marvelously. It was a lot of fun to be there and great to see people working together. So in the photo on the left, that's your sister and your niece, right?
That's right.
Yeah, school teacher and student. And on the left, look at the people who showed up to help us out. You notice Vicky was there. In the center, sitting down, that's Don Canardo from the Lions Club. And that service organization that I keep talking about has finally found a name to brand itself with. It's the Sebastopol Service and Action Coalition. So they were very happy to receive the signups for their volunteer activities and are committed to doing the same for us. So when we're not there at the table, other folk are going to be signing people up for our possibilities. We can reach out and help them to volunteer with us. And eventually, let's hope that they are going to start joining service clubs and perpetuate the benefit of service clubs in our society. So thanks for doing that, Dan. And thanks to everybody who came out and volunteered.
Yeah,
by the way, that's Diana Curtis standing next to Brian. Diana will be our speaker next week. Sorry, Diana Rich.
Can I make a
Did you ask
been a
Diana
change in that,
Rich where our $1 million went?
Can I pipe in there with a little change on that, David?
Yes.
Last night, the city council last night, without consulting me, scheduled another meeting for next Wednesday at 8 a.m. So Diana will not be able to join us next week. So anyway, I'm looking for somebody to replace her, somebody local that can do it in person to kick off our in-person meeting. So if you have any ideas on that, I'm confident I can fill that spot. But if you have any great ideas on that, let me know. Thanks.
Well, and that will be our first in-person meeting. So if it doesn't happen, we'll probably do something
club
like,
assembly, right?
yeah, tell what, maybe we'll stand up like we used to in grade school and read out what I did during my pandemic vacation. We can check out each other's haircuts. It'll be interesting.
I would not
Absence of
start out
haircut.
with the club assembly.
Michael, would you tell us a little bit more about what's going on here?
Yes. So these two images are from a microcredit project that's going on in Ecuador, and it's chance to kind of show they do a class on business management in connection with the loan program that they do. And one thing to notice about this, on the left, there's a group of participants, and you can see the vast majority of people in this class are in fact women, and they're the best risk, and they're very excited about being successful and to make each other successful. So it's a great group down there, and the training feature is now much more prominent in the microcredit projects that our leader puts together. Our leader is Keith Axton from Marin County, and he does an excellent job. So this is our latest microcredit project that we support as a club.
Michael, where is that in Ecuador? Is that the one we were doing here in Santa Elena?
Yes, I believe so. Barbara knows better than I do, actually.
Yeah, I believe so.
I'll connect with them tonight and I'll try to go by there in the next couple of weeks and see what's happening. I know we did that project. I was on the international committee there when we talked about it, which was really cool. And anyway, I'll have go to their meeting tonight and we'll see if we can go by and get an update.
Yeah, the NGO that we're working with down there is Hogar de Cristo.
Okay, maybe, yeah, all right.
Okay.
Why do you think it's predominantly women that are applying for this?
Because it's got a kind of a social element for one, and they want to start small businesses that help their community and themselves. So
now I'm asking,
they're the ones with the business
gender
ideas.
wise, why men aren't stepping up for these opportunities?
Well, you'll just have to ask them that, but I know this is a characteristic of microcredit worldwide and is being borne out in this one as well.
Yeah, and also the other microcredit projects that we've done in Ecuador have all, that it's predominantly women.
My first impression over here is a lot of the women run all the stores and kind of jumpstart them, and you see them even little windows in their houses turn into little tiendas. But I think this is I'll check it out. That's a great question.
Yeah, in Esmeraldas, which is on the northern coast of Ecuador, when we visited there was one lady who got the microcredit and then hired her husband. He was the fisherman. So she started by financing him, and then she ended up over several microcredit loans becoming a fish broker for all the male fishermen.
There you go.
Mike Cook.
Look at that.
Where are you?
Another motley crew. This is Woodstock, Vermont. No rock concerts, not that Woodstock, but my oldest brother is on the left, is David, and bought a house there so he could be near the grandkids. And so my brother Peter and I went out, and David's kids were up from out of town visiting as well from Texas. So we kind of piggybacked on that gathering and had a little mini reunion there for a few days. It's a really nice place, it turns out. And I thought they would it'd be more or less like Grayton, about that size or something, but no, it's 3 times the size of Sebastopol and has inns and restaurants and all that. So it's a very nice place to visit, turns out.
There definitely is a family resemblance there, isn't there?
Yeah, beards on 2 of us anyway.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so this is the moment. Let's see how the experiment works out. If you've had a slide up there and got recognized in some manner and want to make a contribution in any of these 3 ways, or if you just want to call out from the audience and are feeling generous today, this is your moment.
Yeah, I'm gonna donate to the club foundation.
Sorry, who was that? Sorry,
Mike Cook.
Mike Cook. Oh yeah, you got your whiskey voice. Mike Cook, the Club Foundation.
Yep.
Thank you, Mike. That's very generous of you. Really appreciate it. Anybody else?
I'll throw some into our club foundation for our successful event at the building community at the Peacetown Family Village, and I want to thank PJ for showing up, as well as Brian Purcell and David and Bill Sauber and Vicki Johnston and Diana Curtis. So we had a lot of good Rotary representation there. So I will make a contribution to our club foundation for that. And also I'd like people to sign up for next Wednesday afternoon to help out at the Redwood Empire Food Bank. The link is on our club calendar. Let me know if you need help getting the link or signing up. And it's gotten easier. They have 2-hour shifts from 2 to 4 on Wednesday afternoon rather than the 3-hour shifts.
And Joyce, I see you've raised your hand.
David?
Yeah. I'm very excited to be traveling back home to Kenya on Monday, the 26th. So I'm going to be away from here for the next 5, maybe 6 weeks. So I'm going to try and do lots of acts of kindness while I'm down there.
All
So I'm going to
right.
be seeing all your faces for the next 5 weeks.
Joyce, we really
Yes.
hope that while you're there, you'll connect with the Rotarians and hopefully we can start a relationship and do projects. Because
I will do that.
This is what is the key part of Rotary International. It's
I
building
intend
those
to do
friendships.
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good,
Yeah.
goody.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you. Yeah.
David?
Yes, Helene.
I want to let folks know that today is past District Governor Del Raby's 95th birthday.
Wow.
And his club is so good to him. They are his family. And he's still living by himself at Silvercrest. And they're having a party for him out at Spring Lake this afternoon. And he'll be well taken care of. But I just wanted to share that with you because many of you know Dale. And he's a good, he's really, he goes to club meetings when he can, and he's doing very well.
What time is the party?
And that's a donation to the club foundation.
The time is the party.
I think it's at 4 o'clock, but I think you need a reservation to go there. But if you want to go out to Spring Lake and just drop in and say, because he is a Boy Scout, it's in the picnic area, I believe. But you could contact somebody in the club and find out. I think it's from 4 to 7.
Okay. Thank you.
Lovely, and thank you for sharing that. Okay, so let's move along here. So
David?
Yes?
I wondered if you wanted to go over any protocols for our live meeting?
That's right here. So a couple of, I just put it on my notes. I didn't put it in here. The agreements that we made, protocols for the meetings, is that one would only attend if they are fully vaccinated, that masks are welcome but optional. So if you are more comfortable with a mask, do that. We'll be opening the windows and trying to make things work. And the one thing that we neglected, unfortunately, to figure out was what the meeting fee would be. So I am going to make an assumption that we're going to go back to the same fee that we had when we last met, and that may adjust as we go. Anything else, Michael, that you were thinking about?
No, that's pretty much it.
Good. Okay. And down at the bottom of the screen, there is an opportunity. Everybody knows Barbara is off to Washington State to become a distant but still active member of our club. And you're leaving on the 23rd. Is that right, Barbara?
Well, yes, the moving van loads us up this Friday. So then we head over to Sonoma to spend the night with my brother. And then Saturday, we're off to Idaho to visit Steve's elderly aunt before meeting the moving van at our new patio home, no more 4 acres, in Tumwater. So we have a rental house in Tumwater while we look for a house to buy.
Very nice. And those who would like to join us can come on down to Hippozaz, where they reserved the outside area for as many of us will show up. And let's have some pizza, some beer, lift a glass to one of our most illustrious and productive members. Barbara, we're going to miss seeing you. Well, we'll see you online, but we're going to miss giving you hugs. So get your hugs tonight, folks. 6 p.m. at Hippozaz. And club news. Dan, you already talked about that. There's where the requirements and conditions for in-person meeting was. I knew it was somewhere. And Kathy, tell us a little bit about what's coming up.
First Friday, Wood 4, 5:30 to 6:30. Stay longer if you want to eat.
There we go. Thank you very much for putting that together. And next week's presenter is not Diana Rich. Erase that slide. And today's presenter, Charlie, give us an intro.
All right. I am happy to introduce Richard. But first I wanted to talk about that Ask Me Anything line that I added to the title of Richard's talk today. That term comes from the podcast world, where once in a while a guest is so wide-ranging in their expertise and interests that limiting them to one topic would be just a shame. So the use of the Ask Me Anything title is a compliment to the speaker. And I plan to use it again, probably not often, but when we come up with an extraordinary speaker, it's a good tagline to let you know. Richard has a BA in physics, of all things, and I say of all things because that's a hard science, and he has his master's in political science, which is not. He's a long-time lecturer in political science at Sonoma State, and he's also a public opinion pollster and a web app developer. His political fields of expertise include voter engagement and money in politics. He has a consultancy and has conducted lots of original surveys and developed election and other web apps for many California newspapers, television stations, and public and nonprofit organizations. He's also worked with the Sacramento Bee. He's recognized through that work as one of California's leading experts on campaign finance data. Richard will make some opening remarks for context here, and then he'll take questions. Ask Me Anything, by the way, means anything related to his interests and expertise. So if there are questions that you might have, and I expect you will, about American government, media, public opinion, and voter behavior, we have an opportunity to hear answers from somebody who really savvies that stuff. And one more thing, add pro baseball to the list of anythings in this Ask Me Anything talk. We've spent 13 seasons in professional baseball working with major league players and coaches on advanced video and in-game predictive statistical analysis. So, Richard, take it away.
Good morning. And, any questions about baseball are welcome. Politics is too depressing to talk about. And so just want to narrow it there. How about those Giants? I like this team. So good? Well, they are, and they're kind of a spare parts team for the most part, which I like. And it reminds me of the 2010 club, which nobody thought was going to do anything. And it just goes to tell you that a lot of the free agency stuff and the huge contracts aren't worth the paper they're written on. And there's a lot of players who are hungry in the minors who are ready to come up and do a good job. But I guess you want to, talk maybe more about politics, and I'm okay with that. That's fine there. It's interesting. We're in an obviously tumultuous time in politics right now. I've been doing this a long time, and I can't say I've ever seen anything like this. Partisanship has always been a problem in our country. George Washington knew it from the get-go, which is why in his farewell address and many other speeches or other ways of communicating, he made it clear that he did not think parties were a good idea, that they would be very divisive. But that was before, of course, the framers in Washington knew about something called the internet, which could just make divisions even bigger there. And it's just become an all-out food fight there, really a fight to the death, literally. And when I say that, I don't say it casually, because we're taking issues like mask wearing and getting vaccinated, and all of a sudden those are dividing along party lines there. And we're just not getting a lot done in our political system right now. But this is not going to be all doom and gloom, and that's really kind of the end of the doom and gloom portion of this. I'm going to read you a little something that, kind of represents why I'm actually very optimistic about the political system future. And it's really because of younger generations who look at the world much differently than their older peers. And I'm going to read you something I got just recently from a student in response to a question there and about elections and participation. I'll just let the words speak for themselves from the student. I can tell you that flipping through my phone, all I could see was information on the upcoming election, and it was impossible not to think about it. The same can be said for many others in my generation, which led to a record number of young people registering to vote. With the addition of mail-in ballots and more voting centers, many people who simply didn't have the time or weren't willing to go the extra mile to vote were now given a much simpler, more convenient alternative to casting their vote, which I feel will played a major role in attaining this voter participation. I feel that states should continue making casting votes more accessible, and it is proven to get more citizens active in politics, as proven in the 2020 presidential election. And just one more that I grabbed from the same pile, short one. But I think the trend of younger voters is going up. Many young people believe their voice matters in an election. Since we are so young, I think it's best for us to educate ourselves as much as we can before every election and read up on the differences between political parties. It's not up to your parents or your teachers, it's your voice. Go get educated. So, you know, when you have these occasional periods of depression about, oh my God, students not paying attention or not being in it. And believe me, this was a frustration in teaching for me for a long time, in that there was a period, and it was really, I think, you know, up to fairly recently, where many students seem sort of proud to not pay attention to politics and to just, oh, I don't do that. It's not for me. It's all too negative. But I have detected a noticeable change. And, you know, it's not just, you know, a feeling. We've seen much higher turnout than usual among younger people in the 2018 and in the 2020 election. And also a lot of younger people running for office, a lot of first-time candidates. And you know, one of the problems with our political system is that our representatives are not terribly representative. They're much older, much whiter, much more male, much wealthier. And, you know, the average age of our population, median age, is around 38. The average age of a member of Congress is in their 60s. And, you know, that's one of the reasons why a lot of younger people don't have much of a connection with them, just because of the age gap. But it's also one of the reasons why Congress doesn't have much of a connection with many of its constituents, because there's just such a tremendous age gap. And the other place where there's a big age gap is on partisanship. You're seeing many younger voters not choosing a political party when they register. And, you know, I've asked many of the reasons why, and it's all, variations on a theme of, well, you know, I like one thing about this party, but I don't want to be attached to the baggage of everything else. And, you know, I could make up my own mind. And, you know, you really think about it, parties made a lot more sense in the 1700s when, you know, communications started, were basically local newspapers, and transportation options usually started with a healthy giddy up. And, but my goodness, when we can peer into our phones, which are more powerful than the computers that took the Apollo craft to the moon. And we can ask our phone, who was the actress who played Mr. Spock's mother in the original Star Trek series in the 60s, and get an answer in a couple of seconds.
Why
do
would
we
you
really
ask
need
that?
parties to tell us about candidates? Did someone weigh in with the correct answer on the Star Trek question?
No, I was wondering why you were asking that.
Oh, it was just an example of how
Oh,
easy it is to get
sure.
abstract information. And for those of you wondering, it was Jane Wyman. And so, anyways, but the parties are I don't think, I wouldn't say they're on a death knell or something like that, but they're rapidly losing relevance, particularly with younger people. And you know, one of the biggest mismatches we have in politics is our representatives relative to their constituents. It's hard to get exact numbers, but because it's usually done state by state, but nationally, somewhere between a third and 40% of people identify as political independents, which makes them just as large as the Democratic Party there. And yet they have almost no representation in Congress, a couple of members in the Senate, one or two in the House there, and that's about it. And that's something that's not going to go on forever. And right now, the rap on candidates running as independents is, oh, you're wasting your vote, you're just throwing it away. But my prediction is when you see even just a handful more of independents getting elected, you're going to see a whole bunch more after that. The floodgates will open. And one of the most encouraging things, and this will be the last thing I say before I open it up for questions, is there's been some really good news in politics in the last few years. And forget candidates or parties or whatever your leanings are. It's the fact that candidates can now raise enough money to run for office through small donations without having to, beg special interest for money. And the more that's widely adapted, and it's not widely adapted yet, but it's getting there. And the more that trend continues, the more independent our politicians will be of special interest, and we'll have more of an opportunity to get about doing the people's business. So for all the depressing stuff going on in politics today, I think there's at least some green sprouts of hope there. And again, I for one think that we're into some better times in politics. It may take a while. We got to get through this current all out just smash the other party deal there, but we will, and I think things will look better in the future. And with that, fire away. And I got the chat box open too, so I can sort of look at stuff there. So any questions?
Hi, Richard. It's Marty Webb.
Hey, Marty.
How you doing? Hey, listen.
Good, and yourself?
Great. Listen, last week there was a couple of books that came out on the end of the Trump administration. One was by a gentleman named Wolf, and I forget what the other one was. But the one what struck me is I've never necessarily been a big Pence fan, but apparently the Secret Service did everything they could to get him out of the Capitol during the 6th, and he refused. He told the head agent, if you put me in that car, you will drive me out of here, and these people will see me leaving like I'm running away. And we can't let that happen. That to me is a plus for some reason, that he realized that if he left the building during that riot, it would show those people that tried to disrupt the government that they were succeeding. What's your analysis?
Well, I think he made a good point there. That Congress was in session that day to confirm the results of the Electoral College, and they were going to get it done, and they did get it done. And I think in that context, he acted admirably in saying that they were there to do that job. I think there were also security concerns that he might have been better off staying where he was, but that wasn't at all clear. And it sounds, and I don't know anything more than you do, Marty. I'm just reading the papers on that one, but it seemed like a prudent thing to do. And I think you applaud, many of the members of Congress who came back or stuck around that day, and they were determined to do the vote that day. And and they did do the vote that day. And a lot of controversy about nearly 200 members of the House voting not to certify at least one state that same day, which, just kind of, I've worked in elections since my 20s there, which, gives me several decades there. And, for those of you who are wondering about, elections being stolen and, anomalies or problems with, how votes were cast, this was a very safe and secure election. I've known election officials of both parties and worked with them for decades, and they're the most dedicated group of people that you can imagine on both sides. They just want the vote to be fair. Sure, there'll be an occasional Secretary of State somewhere around the country. Some states are notorious for it, who will let their partisan leanings influence them, but they are definitely more the exception than the rule. And there are so many layers of protection and repetitive things that happen, in the counting of a vote and in the conduct of an election. It would be almost impossible to steal the number of votes you would need to change anything. And it's funny because so much of the debate around stolen votes is around people impersonating other people, which almost never happens. I mean, who in their right mind is going to risk a felony just so they can vote? Elections can be stolen. Don't get me wrong, but they happen in plain sight and in large scales. And you might quibble with the word stolen, but what is gerrymandering? And you're talking to my first job out of college. I was a Senate and reapportionment and Senate elections and reapportionment committee consultant in Sacramento, and I worked on reapportionment for 3 years. And no matter how awful you think that is and how behind closed doors it is, it's worse than you can possibly imagine. And thank goodness in California, voters had the good sense to take redistricting away from the state legislature. We now have an independent commission here that does it. But it's all of this stuff about trying to again, people impersonate other voters or election officials or voting machines being affected by Italian satellites or space lasers from favoring certain ethnicities. I mean, these are things all out of fantasy land and are being done, I think, largely to cause chaos. And also they're big fundraisers. You can raise lots of money being crazy in politics. So.
Richard, your best crystal ball prediction. Where is Donald Trump 5 years from today?
I have no idea. I think he does have serious legal issues. Aside from the tax stuff that's being investigated and already is CFO indicted there, and I don't think that's anywhere near the end of that investigation. He's also being investigated for election interference in Georgia, and there's other potential investigations for him, not to mention all the civil suits his past and some, I think, I don't know how recent some of these are, but is he going to run? I think he'd like people to think he's going to run. I personally, just my own vote, do not believe he will run again. But it's just a guess. It's a lot. I think a lot of stuff's going to come out in these books, in the hearings that are about to start on the House side, looking into the 1/6 insurrection riot, and I just don't think in the end he is going to run again. But again, that's just a guess, and I don't know any more than anybody else here on that.
Richard?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the American Academy of Arts and Sciences recent publication called Our Common Purpose?
I am not, but I'd love to hear about it.
Well, it's worth finding out about. I'll actually give a copy to Kathy next Wednesday, and she can take it home for you. I'd love to talk to you about it sometime. Thank you.
Okay. What's the basics of it, or are they just the 30 seconds?
It's a commission that was spent 2 years looking at American democracy and how it could be improved and modernized. And it has a whole series of recommendations in it. It is, I think, a true game changer if it could be taken seriously nationally. It involves all sorts of amendments and changes, some of them legislative, some of them constitutional, some of them just best practices in political parties, et cetera. It's a very interesting and thoughtful compilation of how we can improve our democratic process.
Well, and there's just no question that our democracy needs to be updated. For the realtors among us, how would you like to be selling a revolutionary house that hadn't been remodeled since the revolution? Well, you got this outdoor plumbing, but it keeps the smells away from the house, and I mean that would really be a marketing challenge there. But that's kind of the political system we have. I mean, Constitution's only been amended 27 times in over 200 years, and 10 of them were all at once, close to the beginning. And again, I think the framers were thinking about sort of higher quality people being in office, and they couldn't anticipate kind of the amount of self-dealing. And again, I don't think it's healthy to put it all around one person or one party there, whatever your beliefs are. The system's been corrupted for a long time, and as Charlie said, I'm something of an expert in money and politics. having studied it, for the agency that regulates it here in California, and worked on it on that side, but mostly through my work with the Bee, where even just the data for citizens or even journalists to find out who's donating money to whom in this state is surprisingly difficult to come up with. But I help them, uncover some stuff there, and it's just a real problem. But again, I think sometimes Americans just can't accept victory. I mean, look at the vaccination thing. I mean, these things normally take years, if not decades, to develop, and got one together in a year. Yet, this huge fight about whether or not to use them. And same thing on campaign finance. People are not recognizing, for the most part, how much our political system has the potential to change now that your candidates are not dependent on special interests for campaign contributions. It hasn't factored into our equations there. And a lot of times people are just too mired in the past, or coming up with statistics that really have no meaning. And one of my favorites to pick on is this, making predictions about the next election based on the number of seats, let's say in Congress, that changed hands in previous elections. Well, all of these premises are based on absolute baloney data, insufficient data, because how many previous congressional elections have we had? Less than 120 over 200 years. And how, would you release a poll, a public opinion poll, based on 120 cases? Of course not. You would never do it. That's not a stable data mass. And especially when you consider that most of that congressional data from past elections has no relevance. Who cares what the economy was doing in the 1700s or the 1800s, or have we had as unusual a candidates or situation as we've had recently, or something like COVID? None of this means anything. And so all these predictions that you're seeing of, almost certain Republican takeovers of the House and the Senate, so much hooey. I mean, it absolutely could happen. All I'm saying is that the consensus of opinion would make many people believe it's guaranteed to happen. And it's not even, it may be a 50-50 deal, if that, we don't know. I feel okay enough to say, I don't know, but again, you just hear this consensus over and over again of analysts all saying the same thing. And there's a long history of that. You go back to 1948, Newsweek did a poll when it was a little bit more of a magazine. They interviewed 50 election experts who all predicted that Tom Dewey would win the 1948 presidential election. And that happens a lot these days. And that's why there's so many political upsets, is that the analysis tends to run in packs. So don't get sucked in by that. We don't know what's going to happen in next year's elections. And I think the outcome may be very different than, what many people are saying based on this insufficient data. So.
Speaking of data and the divide in the country, we like to, like, if the other side doesn't agree with us, we like to get into the data and have people look at it, and let's analyze it logically and so forth. And the quote you had for the young person was, let's go get educated. Well, I think that, and I want your opinion on this, I think that's the issue, is we've created, stirred up a whole lot of people, and they're pushing back on getting educated. They're tired of hearing from the educated elite, the politically correct. They're out there sort of creating their own truths with conspiracy or aliens or whatever. They want to create their own truth. They don't want see that data. And that's the whole issue, is they're getting hit with data and told how to live their lives. And I have a lot of family like that. So I'm like, I think that's more of the crux. So, naturally, as an engineer or an educated critical thinker, I think that's the way to go at it. And I think that's making things worse. What are your thoughts?
You thinking that education is making things worse? I'm not.
Yes, educated are going and telling, like, say, the MAGA people how to live their lives, and trying to use data on the mask issue, vaccinations, on a lot of issues. And they don't want the politically correct answers hitting them over the head over and over. And they don't want
the correct answers at all.
Well,
right,
I don't know that it's so much.
We call correct. And to them, correct might be living in the 50s and going back to a different era. So what we think is correct or proven, it's very discomforting for them.
Well, you got to remember that most people don't think about politics the way that politicians think about politics or that people who are really into it do. To most people, it's a very casual thing. It's something they don't know a whole lot about. You know, I'll be candid in saying in many ways we're a politically illiterate country. Even people with reasonably high educational levels could not pass a final exam of my most basic American politics class that I teach. We just don't put a lot into it. The schools, you know, we don't have as much civic education as we used to, largely due to budget cuts and other things there. And I don't think it's so much a matter of regular people trying to convert other people to their way of life or their political views. It's just a question of we've lost the ability, you know, the partisanship has gotten so bad, or other divides have gotten so bad in our country that we can't accept even a basic set of facts as a starting premise to get anything done. And, you know, when that's the case, it's really difficult to get anything done. But again, when you have such a partisan system, and voters also have to acknowledge their own role in partisanship there, it's very easy for us to say, oh, those darn politicians, they're so partisan. And they are, believe me, and much worse than I think you could even think about, you know, having seen it a little bit closer. But we're the ones that in some ways enable it, because 90-something% of us really don't know who we're voting for. We're just looking for little D's and R's next to people's names and vote accordingly. And, you know, that, you know, if voters are just going to vote largely party line tickets, then that's what politicians are going to do in their votes. They're going to stay in their, you know, tribes and with their, you know, particular, you know, set of facts there. And, you know, just think about it. You know, as Charlie said, I'm also a web designer and do a lot of, you know, database stuff. So I tend to look at things from a fairly logical perspective, or try to. What's more efficient? You know, everybody, you know, throwing in either one of two parties, and that every decision being made is, you know, based on party loyalty, and we basically have two minds at work there, or saying, let's bring the best ideas forward and work from that. And, you know, people can either be for or against these ideas. And that's what I hear a lot of young people saying. I'm not interested in parties and personalities. I'm interested in issues and ideas. And I think the younger people are way ahead of the older people in that respect. And this blind loyalty to a party doesn't help really develop good ideas, and it certainly doesn't help get them done. So.
Richard, thank you. We're going to need to bring the meeting to a close. Richard, can you hang out with us for just a little bit more after?
Yeah, I'm glad to stick around. I'm used to doing 3-hour classes, so I'm glad
that would be lovely. Thank you. So those of you who have questions can ask them.
Absolutely.
And we're now going to go back to the share screen. Richard, thank you very much for joining us. You are welcome here anytime. Brilliant.
And especially when warm breakfasts start, you know, you got me. Anything for a good breakfast there. So, you know.
Oh, sooner than later.
There you go. And thanks. Always a pleasure talking to you all, and see you at the next First Friday or social event soon.
Okay. Let's hear it. Michael?
What should you do if you're attacked by a group of clowns? Go straight for the juggler.
Hey.
But at least it was clean.
That's totally a dad joke. So with a special tribute to our traveler to Kenya, Joe.
Here we go. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, each smiling on the bend. Happy trails to you till we meet again.
Lovely. Thank you very much for being here. Remember, we're meeting both online and